Pregame.com.
Okay, Thursday night football action. We've got the Cleveland Browns traveling to play the Green Bay Packers. Scott, this game, the line opened up 4.5 and made a quick move, and that happened real simple. Coach announces he's going to treat the Cleveland Browns like a dress rehearsal. How do you think that affects this? Are you going to overreact to that, or you like this thing?
I still think there's chances, just because you see a line move and it does maybe cross key numbers, throughout the season, especially in preseason. I think you still, if you're on the game, I think there's still positive EV with taking the Cleveland Browns plus the points in this particular game. And we could talk about what Pat Shurmur said. I mean, he came right out and said, we are going to play our starters for at least the first half, possibly into the third quarter. I absolutely, positively agree with Cleveland doing this. This is not the type of football team that's had any success, and they don't have the same preseason concerns that a team like Green Bay has. They don't have to worry about keeping healthy. They don't have to worry about, okay, let's see about our depth. We're going to go to the fourth string guy and see if he can make the team. They've got to start learning what they have to do to give them their best chance to win a football game when the regular season begins. So it's not your typical preseason football team. I took Cleveland, by the way, last week. They started out really badly. In fact, one thing we can look for in this game, Marco, is that Brandon Weeden, the rookie quarterback who's been named the starter, struggles with 34 defenses, struggled in college football. That's what he's going to see on Thursday.
Well, I was with you on the Browns as well, and that was actually my video best bet last week. Before we overreact to what Shurmur's going to do here, let's stop and think, take a deep breath. This is still the Cleveland Browns. So their starters still aren't that good.
Well, let me just say this. If this was a line move in the regular season that went from 4 to 3, it must have meant that, the Green Bay offense was only going to be allowed to maybe have 2 series.
Yeah.
Because this is, preseason, you can kind of think about it that way, I think.
And you hit the nail on the head. Brandon Weeden, they pulled no punches. They come right out of the gate. He's our starter, which I thought was kind of surprising that they did that so early. Eliminate the quarterback controversy. He's got to learn the system. He's going to improve as time goes on, but like you said, last week was a struggle. I'm going to look at this game, and I think the value's not in the game. Last week I was on the Browns. I think the value's in the total, and there was an uptick on the total as well. This total opened up at 38, went to 40. I still like it over the 40 in this game, and here's why. I like the quarterback rotation that we're going to get in this game. First off, Rodgers didn't get a lot of reps last week. First game on the road. They're going to play him a little bit more at home, start to get him ready for the season. Then you're going to want to work against this Cleveland team that their defense is not real good, and you're going to be looking at backups.
Especially the starting defense. Bad in the trenches last week.
Absolutely. I mean, when they played first string versus first string, they were losing the game to Detroit last week, and they made the comeback in the second half. But that's the thing about preseason football. You can't just handicap pure talent because, it's not going to be pure talent.
Well, you're
playing
talking
at the
about
right
the Cleveland
time.
Browns. No offense to Cleveland fans, but there ain't any pure talent. So it doesn't matter what part of the season.
You got to look at who's going to be on the field and at what time.
Right.
And I liked that. I thought that Cleveland is going to have a quarterback advantage in the second halves of these games when you've got Colt McCoy, who's going to have a chip on his shoulder. I mean, here's the guy that was, highly drafted, come into Cleveland, played last year. He doesn't even get a chance to really compete to hold his job.
Right.
Your job's gone. So he's playing with a chip on his shoulder. When he's in there, he's going to want to do some damage. I stole the VR line there. And then Seneca Wallace comes in after him. I mean, that's a good quarterback.
It's a great preseason rotation, no doubt about it.
For sure. In Green Bay, they've got a ton of injuries. McCarthy said this week, he's having trouble, fielding a team.
As of Wednesday, 19 Green Bay players were injured in some form or another that may not play in this game. And the defense is one of the things that's banged up. And they had the serious injuries, serious blow to the defense as far as the starters are concerned in the game against the Chargers in the first half of that game. So I'm falling right in line with your over here. And one thing that I wanted to mention before you take it over here, Colt McCoy played his nuts off in the second half last week because this guy is not a happy camper about being knocked down to that second string role. And when he comes in the game, if it's a quarter or whatever, he's going to be looking to do it again. And then you mentioned Seneca Wallace as cleanup. Wow, great preseason rotation.
And to go back to the Green Bay defense with all the injuries, let's stop for a second. The Green Bay defense is not world beaters when they're healthy.
Right.
And now that they're thin, I think you're going to see a lot of points in the second half. You're going to see more points in the second half than the first half. I'm going with the over. And this is one of those ones you might want to take a look at halftime with a halftime line as well, because the matchups are going to be there. I think you'll see points in the second half. So I'm going to go ahead and make my play. It's not my video best bet, but we're going to go ahead and take this game over 40. That's our first play. He's Scott Spreitzer. I'm Marco D'Angelo. We're going to be right back. We're going to take a look at another preseason game. Friday night. Do we have to do this one? Oakland at Arizona. We actually got some good thoughts on it. We'll be right back here on pregame.tv.